They got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection, I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems.
What's going on, people? It's the Xbot 448, and today, guys, we have come across some really interesting news. I just want to let you guys know right now, I actually recorded a video about this, and I was going to put it out in kind of like the traditional YouTube manner, and I went to go edit in my intro, all that good stuff, and come to find out, I'm having some sort of technical difficulties when it comes to recording my voice onto some gameplay and stuff like that to talk about my thoughts and opinions on some pretty big news today. So I had this video and it had none of my voiceover on it. So I was like, you know what? I really want to talk about this. I might as well just go live. All right. So like I said, I am going to be doing more traditional videos on this channel as well. So stay tuned for that. But I wake up this morning and I check my Twitter, and it seems that the multiplat developer Remedy Entertainment went out on Twitter to let everybody know that they have recently purchased the intellectual property to Alan Wake from Microsoft. So in other words, the development team that develops the game called Alan Wake now owns the IP to it. And it's a really interesting kind of like turn of events. For people who don't know, Alan Wake is a game that came out during the 360 era to some success. There was some, I guess you could say semi-moderate success to the title. And a lot of people who enjoyed that game on the 360 have been waiting for Xbox to do a sequel, on the Xbox One, or even hear about a sequel or something like that. Now, we all know, at least behind kind of like closed doors, unofficially, Phil Spencer has come out and said that he didn't necessarily like the Alan Wake IP. So, with that being said, it was always kind of like up in the air on whether or not an Alan Wake 2 would be made, because it was in it was in the court of Xbox and Microsoft to kind of like okay a sequel to Alan Wake. But now that is no longer the case. Now the responsibility is no longer with Xbox, no longer with Microsoft. It is now with Remedy Entertainment to decide on whether or not to make a sequel. Now with this, because social media is absolutely buzzing right now. Of course, for the last couple months, we've heard rumors that Remedy might be, Sony might have interest in Remedy to purchase them and bring them into their first-party studio division, with companies such as Naughty Dog, Guerrilla Games, etc., etc. So now with this news, Remedy owns Alan Wake, and a lot of people are like guessing and suggesting that if Sony acquires Remedy, then Alan Wake 2 will be a first-party exclusive on the PlayStation. And when I think about that, there's one thing that comes to mind, guys. Well, first off, this game fits right in with what Sony and PlayStation look at in terms of their first-party games. It is a game that has that third-person kind of like camera over-the-shoulder type view, heavy story narrative. It fits right in with what Sony has done with the PS4 in terms of games like Horizon Zero Dawn, the kind of like the remake to God of War, the quote unquote evolution of God of War. I mean, I could go on and on with the first party games that just they are third person camera over the shoulder, basically cookie cutter games, just with different characters, different story narratives, a couple different mechanics, but cookie cutter when it comes down to it. And what I'm thinking with this is, like, if this is the case and Alan Wake 2 becomes a Sony PlayStation exclusive, how is it going to shine above any of the other games that Sony is making? I was hoping that at some point in time, moving into the PlayStation 5, that PlayStation will do more than that quote unquote like blueprint of the third, basically, man, I've said it like a broken record. You guys know what I'm talking about. Uh, when they're gonna veer away from that blueprint and start doing something different. And if this is the case, if this happens, this is just another sign that they are gonna go that same route. They are gonna feed you guys the same types of games until you can't take it anymore. They're just gonna keep going. If it's successful, we're just gonna keep doing it until that lake runs dry. Now, on the Xbox side of things, I know there are gonna be people, there are gonna be Xbox fans who are upset that Microsoft and Xbox no longer control the narrative when it comes to another Alan Wake. And when you look at this, you got to remember that this was what they call a second party deal. It was a third party developer making a game that was exclusive to one platform, and that being Xbox. Now, you look at the history this generation when it comes to these second party deals, you're looking at Rise Son of Rome, you're looking at Sunset Overdrive, you're looking at Quantum Break, even a game that got canceled, Scalebound. And if you look at the reputation, if you look at kind of like the track record of what's going on with these second party deals and Xbox, you can kind of see why Phil Spencer wants to veer away from the whole second party kind of like dialogue. Wants to get away from second party deals. They added studios in under the first party umbrella because let's be honest here. Rise Son of Rome, it got some decent, kind of like gamer reviews. Not the reviewers, but the people who played the game. The game graphically looked good, but there was a lot of things like repetitive enemies, stuff like that. You look at Sunset Overdrive, which I feel was a great game, got completely massacred because of resolution and because of a more kind of like cartoony art style. You look at Quantum Break, got massacred over resolution because that was the end all be all when those games were coming out. The Don KTR in the chat says Alan Wake is still stuck in a contract. Remedy would have to do another property. All right, brother. Well, I'm just taking for what Remedy, kind of put out there, what they're trying to show the people, and then we'll see what happens down the road. But getting back to it, Xbox's kind of like track record when it comes to second party. I went through Sunset Overdrive, went through Quantum Break. Resolution Gate was a huge thing that destroyed those games. Those games were really good games. And unfortunately, they really weren't supported because the narrative at that point in time was how many P's were being outputted. But even a game like Scalebound, and again, unofficially, kind of like behind the scenes, we heard about the quote unquote money funnel that was being like kind of shoved into Scalebound and Platinum Games, and how Platinum Games really wasn't fulfilling their side of the deal when it came to the development of Scalebound. And I can see why Xbox would want to veer away from second party contracts. Not necessarily a bad thing, guys. I would love to see Sunset Overdrive too. But again, that would be a second party contract. This entire generation, Xbox has really been more miss than hit when it comes to second party contracts. And it's not even to the fault of Xbox in like 99% of the cases. So when it comes down to it, if you are a fan of Alan Wake, if you like the franchise, you like, the characters, all that good stuff, instead of looking at it negatively, just realize now the responsibility is off of Xbox's shoulders, off of Microsoft's shoulders, off of Phil Spencer's shoulders altogether. It is now there on Remedy's shoulders to see what happens. If you are an Alan Wake fan, you can be happy today that there could quite possibly be a sequel in the future. Whether it's multi-plat or whether it is possibly a PlayStation exclusive. But even if it's a PlayStation exclusive, I have never told anybody that they have to own one console and that's the only way to go. Guys, if it comes out on PlayStation and you're an Alan Wake fan and it looks interesting, I'm happy for you. Go ahead, pick it up. But again, the responsibility is now off of Xbox. They have kind of shaken that flea off their back. We know Phil Spencer didn't necessarily like the franchise, which I don't see why that would make a difference when it all comes down to it. You got to look at, I know Microsoft looks at numbers. 360 was really popular, and Alan Wake was moderately successful. So you look at the numbers going forward, and I feel that Phil didn't think it was absolutely necessary. So Microsoft gets an infusion of money. They sell the rights to Alan Wake back to Remedy, and now the ball is in Remedy's court. Again, really interesting news on a Monday morning. I did try to make a video, like I said at the beginning of this live video. I tried to make a video. Unfortunately, having some technical issues in terms of putting the voiceover over the video to let you guys know what I think. So I had to go live today, guys. I had to go live. I'm treating it like a natural video, though. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, if you enjoyed the topics, you enjoyed the gameplay, some killer Crackdown 3 gameplay going on in the background, you know what to do, guys. Definitely hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe. This is the home of the next podcast, going live every Saturday, 7 p.m. We have gameplay going on while we talk about gaming news, something for you to watch while you're listening to the topics and the gaming news and stuff like that. I know you guys want innovation. You guys want something different. Definitely tune in every Saturday, 7 p.m. and you'll definitely get that from the next podcast. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Share this video out. Let people know I came in. I talked about this whole deal. I put some common sense into what Remedy was tweeting out today, and hopefully you guys agree. If you agree, hit the comments. Let me know why you agree. And of course, if you disagree, do that as well. But as for now, this is the Xbot 448, and I am definitely signing off.
I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. The pressure be calling. Left on my blessings. I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection. I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems.